I had 5 sales calls the first
Yeah.
day, and I had no idea how to use your system.
We walk this interesting fine line.
Hey, it's Brett Chittum, Business Technicalities, and I'm here with...
Jesus, stop pointed the wrong way. I'm right here.
I know, I had to do that. It's interesting. So you guys will have, by the time you see this, you'll have seen the week after the merger video we just posted this morning. And it's interesting, the things we didn't think about.
Yep.
I've learned a lot being integrated with CNWR and what we're doing here, and the merger, and watching Jason, Matt, Tom, and the entire team actually, going through and for our side of the team, we have to learn new systems. And for Jason's side of the team, they're learning our ways. But watching you work, I'm just going to say, Jason, that I don't think you've had any brain time off.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty tired. So this started, Brett came in this morning and he hits me on Slack and says, "Are we recording Business Technicalities this morning?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in my office." And,
I didn't even hear him come in.
I came in, and then he came in, and man, I'm looking pretty tired and defeated at this point. I'm mentally pretty exhausted at this point. I've taught people how to build quotes. I'm the one that's building all the agreements once we're dealing with the things and trying to integrate a whole bunch of systems and trying to keep things moving along. And man, I'll tell you, there's some intensity that comes from the Detroit office. Tom is fairly intense in a good way, not in a bad way at all. You're pretty intense, and we're moving things along, but my life has been pretty interrupted driven now since, I don't know, probably 2 weeks before the merger. So I was looking pretty defeated, and so we're like, what are we going to talk about today? So we walked to the kitchen, so I gave myself a cup of coffee.
I already finished my first cup.
And we just start talking about one of the litany of issues that we're trying to work through right now with integrating the various systems that we use in a way that allows me as a business owner and operator to track financials in a way that I need to and want to report on them. Additionally, we've got some sales challenges with regards to some booking, things like that, and assumptions made. A couple of reasons. Lawrence used Google for email, Google Workspace, right? And we use Office 365, and it's creating a couple of interesting situations because a couple of the tools that are used, we'll start there, I guess. One of the tools that one of our partners that we resell uses to book meetings for Brett, and eventually somebody other than Brett, it only integrates with Google.
Well, it integrates with both, but they integrate with Google.
Yeah.
And it won't allow them to integrate with something else.
Yeah. So apparently you only get one calendar integration per account. So we've set up I think you've got it working, really hacky method using Zapier to try to two things, right? Get the appointments that get set on that side on your calendar, which that's the easy part.
Right.
The hard part is getting your availability booked in the other calendar so that they don't see they don't double book you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what the Zapier did. We use Zapier to actually do that. And then I thought to myself, and I'm glad I didn't do this because it would have created an infinite loop, was then ring back. So I didn't do that. So there's still a little manual entry I'm going to have to do. But I think, when you do a merger, there are nuances that you just can't see, right? You won't know until it happens what is going to happen, right? And we're trying to merge 2 ticketing systems.
Yeah, that one's not that bad. I think should be off of your fresh desk this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been challenging because we cut email over, so all the emails coming into our systems, which has other interesting challenges because about a third of the clients, if not more, that are putting tickets in aren't present and managed yet, because I've only imported the clients that had recurring revenue, because in the And your invoicing system, which was Invoice Ninja, I mean, there's like, I don't know, 1,100 clients in
There's a
there,
lot in
right?
there,
Like,
yeah.
and I didn't really want to import 1,100 clients to manage, so I imported anyone that had a recurring revenue associated with it, and so we're just manually creating them. If somebody that doesn't have recurring revenue puts a ticket in, we're manually creating it and then assigning it out.
Yep.
Which, I mean, it works fine. There aren't that many of them. To me, that's better than attempting to
build them all.
Yeah, build them all, and then have to, sort through the mess that becomes managed. I've had a pretty good cadence on our side of, if somebody hasn't done business with us in a year, then I basically move them to a former client status. They don't show on the active list anymore, right? And, I mean, I guess I could have imported them all and marked them all former clients, but I think there's limited utility in doing that.
Well, I think you're doing it the right way, because as a clients that we don't want to say break fix, but more consulting clients call, we can add them as we go. Right?
Yeah.
That's just really about it.
Yeah, and we've made a policy, or basically not policy. We got a procedure that our dispatcher is following when those come in, because she's starting to dispatch some of those tickets out. We still have the widget on your website that I think that the decision made yesterday was we're just going to kill it and just tell people to email. I do have a method to make it work, but like the reality is that the recurring revenue customers will eventually be able to use help desk buttons. And I think there's probably like a way to do it in Ninja where they
do. They have it. It's usually in the sys tray.
So we can do that too. We can hook the Ninja ticketing up to manage too. So we haven't integrated Ninja Manage yet. I know Matt's working on it. So once that's done, we can do that too, and just tell them to use the tray icon until they get help desk buttons. Because some amount of them will end up getting help desk buttons, because that's what we use here internally. A more interesting one is you guys have this whole had this whole method where somebody can go on the website, at lawrencesystems.com/hire us, I think it is, and they can just book time, and it goes through a service called You Can Book Me. It's a really cool service. Like it's integrated with Stripe. It automatically looks at the calendar. It books it out, right? So, day one, I cut over the Stripe integration, so the money's coming into our Stripe account. But that's it. The money's coming into our Stripe account. The calendar, the basically Outlook meetings or Google meetings are going out to the guys on your side that are handling it, or the trade office that are handling it, which I think is Eric. I think Tom can do them, and there's one other.
Actually, each one has done some type of consulting, but mostly the primary one is Eric, so he does it.
But that has interesting implications, because we're basically reconciling just based on Stripe payment, so we're just recognizing those as income. So I spent, I don't know, between 2 and 3 hours last night researching how to handle that. I can integrate Stripe with QuickBooks to get the data in there automatically. There's a manual method to do it and a couple automated methods to do it that aren't that expensive, like $40 a month. $40 a month is probably worth the hourly wage I pay the lady that would otherwise have to manually reconcile them. So I'll probably just pay the $40 a month for the sync tool. But more importantly, I'd like to stop working off those Outlook calendar entries and start doing something else. So I spent a bunch of time last night researching You Can Book Me, and I'm going to end up hooking it to Roost.
Absolutely.
And so I'm going to build out a Roost workflow today, maybe tomorrow, although I'm off tomorrow, and took a webhook from You Can Book Me. I have in my brain this whole methodology where it's going to come in, it's going to try to match the client on email domain if it exists. It's going to create the ticket there, right, and set all the parameters on the ticket, assign the ticket and the schedule to the tech. If they don't exist in there, I created a company called LTS Client Needs Assigned, that the ticket will go into that company. It will then pop a pause in the Roost workflow, and basically the expectation will be that you create the company, they'll still make the ticket. under that company. You make the new company, move the ticket over to the new company, and then Roost has an approval workflow. So there's actually a pod and manage that from Roost, and you just click the button saying the company's made and the tickets where it's supposed to be, and then it'll finish and go through all that. So there'll be a little bit of a manual process here for the clients that don't exist, but I think I can make that work. It's just, man, there's so many of these things that every day we're coming across. Here's one. I saw a quote got created in Invoice Ninja last night for cabling, and I assume it's the wiring guys you use.
Well, so no, what it was I had to refresh a quote. Okay. It was a refresh quote, and I hadn't moved. He needed it right away, and I didn't move it into cell.
Yep.
So I had to get it into his hands so that we could then get the approval, and then I'll build it in cell.
Yeah, I mean, there is just a lot of we had a good idea of what the systems looked like, right? But there's just a lot of things that you didn't really and couldn't really consider until you spent some time with them, like the whole booking system. Only working with one email provider, it's like, man, I wouldn't have gotten there in a million years.
I have a question on that. Maybe we could flush this out while we're talking. I was thinking while driving down here, because I'm coming down every day to immerse myself, because I have to learn the systems, because I have to be able to train the systems, right? Is there a way, because you guys use use manage in a really cool way, where you can have it create certain appointments?
Yep.
What if you had the ticketing system? Because ultimately, there are going to be more people than Eric that can do consulting work, right? It might be something that is not in Eric's expertise. What if when they went to You Can Book Me, is there a way you could create it to see and manage to then create a ticket?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing with Roost.
Is that how it's working?
That's what it's going to do in the end.
Okay, because I think because then Eric's not the only one, because Eric can work on other projects as well. I mean, he does almost every 90% of the booking calls.
Yeah. The problem there in particular is that because they can book at a particular time, it's really hard to hard to do that, because the skill set, I can show the availability of the whole team or blended. We use a tool called TimeZest internally that can do that. I wish it supported payments, because I would just move all those to that, honestly.
It does not.
It does not support payments. My initial thought was to ditch You Can Book Me, use TimeZest, use a Roost workflow from TimeZest to basically, as you went through this, create a cell quote, send you to the cell quote to approve it and pay, and then kick off the workflow from there. But that just seems like more work than using You Can Book Me. The problem is the blended availability, I think, there. But that did get me thinking that with regards to the sales stuff, there's probably something, rather than using the calendar in that way, maybe we can see if Chili Piper can do a webhook, and if it can do a webhook, or I can just do IFTT or a Zapier webhook into Roost, and then I can make Roost make the manage activity from the sales appointment, right? So then you have one. Because
you're thinking of going to Chili, and because Chili Piper will do multiple calendars, or you mentioned that.
Yeah, TimeZest integrates natively with manage, so I probably wouldn't go to Chili Piper. I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts here.
I think it's really trying to figure out, because on a consulting call, we want to collect money up front, obviously, for obvious 100%. Reasons. So when we don't want to, and people, if they don't have a vested interest when they book time, they sometimes won't show up.
Yeah.
But they pay the consulting fee to book that time, they show up.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are the smarter ones in figuring this out.
We'll figure it out. Like it's we've got when we had our EOS quarterly, we have a truckload of rocks that are all around essentially integration related things, and this is one of them. It's supposed to be done by 8:15. It'll be done before that. Like it's on the top of my mind. Just need my day not completely booked up every day so that I had time to look at it. But I cheated. Last night I got so frustrated with people randomly booking my time and manage that I set a ticket template up that basically created a schedule entry from 9 to 5 every day. So I
Oh.
always look busy so
That's
that no one
great.
can find a time on my calendar that isn't booked now.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. So I just cheated the system a little bit there. So
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
yeah.
I think what I did was I had some sales calls going on, but I booked the rest of my month because it was the first day. I had 5 sales calls the first day, and I had no idea how to use your system. That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's we walk this interesting fine line between not wanting to slow revenue down, especially because we have some earn out. The way a deal like this is structured is that there's a upfront payment, and then there's in our case it's 2 payments at anniversary, 1 year and 2 years out that are based on revenue, right? So you don't want to get into a situation where we intentionally slow down revenue because that can impact things in the future. Correct. I don't think it will in this case. I think that we can hit, there's only another 13 days left in July. You've got several booked out. So putting a pause on that stuff for the rest of the month, just to be able to catch our breath and figure out what we're doing. Don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, because otherwise, I've got an interview today at 2 with a potential outbound salesperson, and if you allow yourself to be booked and busy the entire life, you can't make progress, right? Like and that's the big thing that I've been trying to focus on right now is I'm trying to work on the business, right? And people keep booking me in the business, and I needed a pause to be able to work on the business and work on this merger and work on other things like that. Yeah. So, that's one of the things. I've been in total firefighting mode now since this started. And I keep telling myself internally that I'm going to allow that to happen the rest of this week, which for me is just today because I'm off the rest of the week, which I need it. I need it so bad. And then next week, I'm going to allow myself to be really interrupt driven. And then I'm going to go back to, I'll probably block out a 2-hour window or maybe a 1-hour window in the morning and a 1-hour window in the afternoon, and say like, okay, guys, like unless it's on fire and you absolutely need me right now, come find me during one of these 2-hour periods so that I can get some focus time to actually make progress. Because as somebody that has ADHD, like I will squirrel all the time. Like whatever you're, especially if I'm working on things like building agreements, I don't particularly find that fun and endearing, but it needs done. So if you come to me with anything that sounds more interesting to that, then I'm going to work on that other thing instead, because it's shinier and funner.
Oh my gosh. You said funner.
Yeah, I did. I did. It's funner.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was talking to Tom while driving down here today, and I said, I had planned to work on the process as part of one of the rocks I have, and building and developing processes. And I built the one process I wanted to get done yesterday. I built it completely, and I was going to send it out to Travis and to Brett Boggs and say, okay, here's the process built. Here's the template for the things I've given you. And so many interruptions happened. I never got that until this morning. And it just seems like I had 2 things. I just had 2 jobs yesterday, and they didn't.
Sorry.
Bless you. That was good.
Yeah, I tried to hold it. So
this will prove we're not edited.
Yeah.
We just go full bore. So we're not saying don't merge with companies. Honestly, we're not. But understand that there are some unknowns that are going to happen.
100%. It's going to be relatively bumpy for at least the next month. And I think your guys are starting to get into a groove. I mean, lessons learned, right? Like Matt, who I'm now going to call VP of Ops instead of service manager, because that's actually also not a mouthful, and it's accurate. He was off basically the first week of July, and then Friday, and then Monday. So I would say a lesson: block out, like if it's likely to close at a time, block PTO out from that period, right? Like, and I get life happens and you may piss some people off, but like yeah, it's not great to have key members out while we're trying to drive all this stuff together, because it left the team up in Detroit kind of rudderless and, like, hey, guys, just keep doing what you're doing while Matt's out. We try to figure this out. He's back now, and I don't think he's got any more time off the rest of the month.
Well, it's funny. In Slack, I sent him, because he asked the question. I said, anything else? He asked, and he shouldn't have, anything anybody else needs. And I gave him my laundry list. And then I said something to the effect of, do you feel bombarded yet?
Yeah.
He never answered that, though. Huh. Anyways, there's the unknown is okay. It's the fear of the unknown is okay. Just know that in a merger, it will go. There are parts that can go smoothly, but there are parts that are going to cause a little headache. Traction talks about the 36 hours of pain. I think we've had a little bit more than 36 hours of pain, but
wall time we have, but actual business time, it's not been. I mean,
it's not been painful.
It's fun, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
This is. I said the other day, and I think I may have said this in one of the previous videos. I go home at night, and it would be easy for me to go home at night and not look at this stuff at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm enjoying it as much as I may complain about it, and I'm like mentally exhausted. I'm physically exhausted too, because I was built some box stairs and was lumbering around like 16-foot 2x6s and concrete footers and a bunch of stuff on Sunday. So I'm pretty beat up right now. Yeah. But I do enjoy it, and I am excited to work on it even after hours, just to keep pushing this stuff forward. So, but just know that it's a slog. Yeah. And Tom sent me another one yesterday. He's like, "Hey, this person's looking for to be acquired too." I'm like, "No, I can't yet. Please no, please no."
That's a 6-month process, I think.
Yeah.
Out. Well, I mean, but for anybody that's looking at a potential merger, and anybody that's really considering being merged or merging with another company, the bottom line is do it. If it makes financial sense, do it, because all the headaches and all the little nuances that you don't know, or that you do know, are going to be worth that battle.
Yep.
I truly believe that.
100%. Who's tagging me in something? See that? I'm distracted.
Yeah, he's distracted. He's not used to me sitting right next to him. Now he can do stuff while I talk. But any final thoughts for you? Because this will be our shortest one lately.
Oh, they're talking in the general room. That's why, and that's hooked to Victor Ops. No, I think that shortest one, it's 22 minutes. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah, this will be one of the shorter ones recently.
Yeah. I mean, we've been trying to keep these to 20 minutes, and we're at 22 right now. So, no, final thoughts are, I mean, it's worth it. Like, it's there will be, no matter how much you think you've planned, and we did probably less planning than we should have, the things that we're struggling with at the moment, we likely would not have found even with more planning, right? Yeah. Like this Chili Piper thing that you're dealing with, You Can Book Me. I knew that was going to be kind of a mess. So I knew that one coming in, right? Like, but yeah, there's just got to be things that you don't think of as you go through this, and book that time out to do it.
Right. Well, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna say I think we planned. I think there was a lot of planning in place, but there's just still the unknown. Yep. So I'm not gonna. You can't take that away from yourself, because there was planning that was.
Yeah, done. There was.
We've been talking for a long time in this, so it's just more of things get in the way and things happen, and expect to be interrupt driven. For a little while. Yep. But at some point you'll get that purpose-driven day planned again, and move on.
Yeah, cool.
All right, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Hey, fist bump. It's done.
Back to the grind.
Hey, make it a great day, guys.
See ya.